guys, another day, another cauliflower video. I'm going to show y'all how to make cauliflower mash today, which is basically a dupe on mashed potatoes. Just a lower calorie, lower carb version because we're using, obviously, cauliflower instead of the potatoes. And I know, it's like my second video and here I am doing another cauliflower recipe, but that's because cauliflower is really versatile. It soaks up all the flavor of whatever you're doing with it and cuts the calories and carbs like major. So to flavor the cauliflower mash, we're gonna do some roasted garlic, a little ricotta, a little butter, and we're gonna whip it all together and make it taste delicious. I'm actually doing a double batch today because cauliflower mash freezes like a charm. And so when I go through all of this, I like to get the most bang for my buck, you know, work harder, not smarter. Smarter, not harder. Anyways, work smarter, not harder. So I'm gonna do a double batch so that I can freeze a ton of it. And then we're gonna have some tonight with our Swedish meatballs, which is one of my favorites because that's also a freezer-friendly recipe. Both of those recipes, the cauliflower mash and the Swedish meatballs, you can find on my blog already, pineapplehouserules.com, just in case you forgot. So here we go. Let's get started, make some cauliflower mash. Okay. So first I'm going to show you how to easily cut a head of cauliflower, and I showed you this if you were watching the last video about the cauliflower soup, then you saw how to do this. But basically you just cut the cauliflower in half, okay, and then you've got all these little florets and you're just going to run the end of your knife along the florets and kind of pop them out and just use your hands to peel them off. I didn't cut well enough. I've got to go to the gym, I guess. So then you just keep cutting until you get all of the heads of the cauliflower. Discard this guy, he's done his greeny business. And then you just cut these guys into whatever size you want. So for the cauliflower mash, I'm just gonna cut them into, you know, even small-ish pieces so that they'll steam and cook up faster. And that's it, piece of cake or a piece of cauliflower, whatever. So now that I showed you how to cut the cauliflower, what do we do with it, lady? Well, you have a few options. You can either boil it in some water. I'm pointing because that's where my stove is. You can boil it in some water, or you could buy frozen cauliflower that steams in the bag. It would, for this size batch, you would want 4. If you're doing a single batch, you probably get 2 bags of the frozen cauliflower that steams. And I've done that before. It's just, I can't always find it, and so I typically go with like the regular old cauliflower florets, and I steam them. So this is my dad's old school steamer, probably older than I am, although there's no bags or crow's feet on that guy, so maybe he's not older than me. But anyway, I'm gonna steam this for probably 30 minutes because you saw before, I have 2 whole heads of cauliflower, so it's gonna take a while till they get fork tender. So again, recap, 3 options. Boil it, frozen steamer bag, or you can just chop up the cauliflower and steam it if you have a steamer. So we can do it. Okie dokie, so we gotta go ahead and put our garlic in the oven because we're gonna roast it, and what that's gonna do is release some really good sweet flavor and flavor up the cauliflower mash without a lot of calories. So we're gonna cut off the top of a whole head of garlic and wrap it in some foil. Make it a nice little sleeping pouch. And I'm actually doing a double batch, so I'm gonna go ahead and do both cloves of garlic I've got here. Just cut off the head, put it in a nice little foil blanket. And then we're gonna put it in a 400-degree oven for about 30 minutes to let it roast. And that's it. So our garlic is all done. I just took it out of the oven in its little foil blanket, and we're gonna let it cool off. And in a minute, whenever our cauliflower is ready, we're gonna squeeze all of the roasted garlic into the cauliflower mash, and it really, like I said earlier, gives it tons of flavor with very little calories. So it's a nice little cheat when you're trying to be on the diet train. Alrighty, so our cauliflower is steamed. It's nice and tender. I'm just gonna show you. It's gonna be like fork tender like that. So I went ahead and I put it all into a food processor. Now if you seriously, where was I raised? If you don't have a food processor, a regular old blender will work. But you've got to make sure you take off you know, the top part of the food processor, you see all the steam coming out. Or if you're using a blender, take off the middle part of the top, because you want to let the steam go out. Otherwise, it's going to be a big old mess. We don't want that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and kind of pulse it around until it gets, you know, to be a little bit finer of a texture. And then we're going to add in all of our goodness. So that's good. We're like halfway, I don't know, mushy. And that's what we want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some melted butter. Just dump it all in. It's been sitting for a while because my steaming took a little bit longer than I thought it would. And then we're going to add in some ricotta cheese. There it is. A little salt and pepper. Just sprinkle that around. And then we're going to add in a whole container of Greek yogurt. So I'm going to add in the Greek yogurt real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, I added in all the other stuff. So again, we've got ricotta, some butter, Greek yogurt, and salt and pepper. And now remember those little garlic guys that we roasted earlier? Well, now they should look like this. And I just let them cool so that I could handle them. So all you're going to do is grab it so that the cut part is outside of your hand, and you just kind of squeeze it in. And I'm not going to lie, it's not the prettiest thing that you've ever seen, but the flavor is amazing. I won't say what it, you know, looks like. I don't know, just kind of squeezing it all out there. I feel like if I tell you what I think it looks like, then you're probably going to be like, that's not very appetizing. Not really selling the recipe. And again, I did a double batch, so I've got 2 whole heads of garlic, just like I did the 2 whole heads of cauliflower, because I'm going to freeze most of it for another time. When I go to thaw it, I just take it out of the freezer and I put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then I just heat it up in the microwave. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? I just like having some stuff in the freezer for those really crazy nights, usually Thursdays or Fridays, you know, whenever I'm exhausted. And that way I know there's still something healthy in the freezer or the refrigerator, and we're not, you know, relying on pizza or Taco Bell all the time. All right, so I put the top back on, and we're going to whip her up. I'm just going to let the old food processor here do the work. So after that, I'll come back and show you the finished product. And that's it. After you blend it up, you just throw it in a big old bowl, and you got a nice big old bunch of cauliflower mash. I would say this probably gets you like 6 to 8 servings, depending on how much you want to eat. The actual calorie count and the printable recipe for cauliflower mash is on my blog, Pineapple House Rules, just in case you didn't know. But yeah, after we finish our dinner tonight, I'll take the rest of the cauliflower mash and I'll put it in a freezer-safe Tupperware. And I'm going to label the top, you know, cauliflower mash, just with a Sharpie. I don't like to thaw things from the freezer and then find out later it's definitely not the thing I thought I was thawing. So I want to make sure that I thaw the right thing so we have a good dinner whenever that next time is with our cauliflower mash. So I hope that y'all make yourself a big old batch and enjoy.